Again, good seeing you guys. Hope you guys had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and got a little chance to relax and catch your breath. We had a little downtime here throughout the holidays, and as you guys know, we've lost two coaches, so it's been busy trying to fill those spots. But Coach Peterson, as you know, went to University of Illinois as the offensive coordinator, and Courtney Braswell resigned this past Friday to pursue other opportunities. We wish him the very best. He did a very good job while I was here, and we'll see where that leads. But again, I had a chance to bring Frank Ponce. He's back. He's official. Very excited to get Coach Ponce here. Not only is a great football coach, but is an outstanding person. And I had a chance to work with him for 4 years, and just the way he demanded excellence from that room was something to watch. And have a lot of confidence in him as the play caller of this program, and he'll have full reign of calling the plays. And we're in the process of hiring Courtney's position. So that's where we're on the coaching front right now. This past weekend, we had 9 mid-year enrollees and 1 graduate transfer. And the rest of the team will be back this weekend. And we'll start business as usual, all-season workouts. And we will start spring practice March the 8th. And that will go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And where we are with COVID, if we're clear with COVID, you guys are more welcome to come. If not, Joey will extend the invitations to you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll start off on questions with Ethan Joyce, Winston-Salem Journal.
Shawn, I guess, now that you've had kind of a full month to have that cooling off period from the season, I guess just what do you think about when you kind of take in your first year, and what went well, what didn't, and just kind of your overriding thoughts?
Well, very happy and very proud of our football team. When you go from early spring to late spring, early summer, we're not sure we're going to have a football season. We're playing in front of a global pandemic, and our players, I thought they stood strong in what they were doing to make able to play this season. We had a little bump in the road there in mid-October, took a few days off, and came back and finished the season. But finished 9-3. I know that's not where I want to be, or our fan base wants to be, but very proud of the way our guys competed. We lost to 3 top 25 programs at that time, but we're able to go win a bowl game, and that was our main goal at the end, is to win a bowl game. That's something that we take a lot of pride in here, and again, exciting, a lot of room for improvement. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about this team, and we're forward to moving on to 2021.
Was there a component of being a head coach that, I'm not going to say surprised you, because I think you kind of talked about how you've been prepping for this, but and also taking into account that 2020 was what it was, but a component of being a head coach that really took some like adaptation from you to really kind of get used to?
Well, when you're an assistant coach, you make suggestions, and when you're the head coach, you make decisions. That was probably the biggest, I wouldn't say challenge, but you try to do what's best for the program. Being alone from here, you want to do what's best for this program first, and to make sure we continue this excellence we have going on here on the mountain. But just the getting around the different position groups. When I was the offensive line coach, I really dealt with my position group, but having a chance to really get on the defensive side of the ball and get to know our players, that was very rewarding for me. And because we have a bunch of special guys on this team, and just to hear their stories and where they've came from, and to watch those guys graduate, and that was a big deal for me personally.
With the offensive coordinator opening, knowing you've got to fill that spot for Tony, was there like a part of you that wanted to go with somebody that maybe had the, a little more familiarity with like App State specifically, or did it just kind of happen to work out that, Frank was a guy that you guys could get?
Well, when I first got the job here, I did reach out to Coach Ponce, and at the time we couldn't make it work. And you fast forward 1 year, Coach Peterson calls me the day after Christmas and let me know he was interviewing in Illinois. And the first phone call I had was with Coach Ponce, and there was some discussion going on of can we really make this thing work? And we brought in 2 other candidates to interview for the coordinator spot, and I just felt what was best for this program and the familiarity I have with Coach Ponce, it was the best decision for the program. And Again, Coach Ponce and I worked together here from 16 through 18. Great relationship together. And I watched him, how he really game planned for SAT. And, Coach Satterfield, he called the plays, but Coach Ponce really designed the game plan. And I know he's ready for this position. It's going to be a great challenge, something he looks forward to. But again, we call the plays as an offensive staff, and he'll have the final say-so in what we call and what we run. But I know he's ready for this opportunity.
Okay, we'll go next to David Ware, App State Mania.
Shawn, kind of continuing on the conversation about Frank, one of the unique perspectives you have that fans don't really get to experience is you've been on that game day headset with Frank up in the box. So you really understand his demeanor up there, how he approaches things, his communication style. If you will, just kind of take us through what he does up there, how you encountered him, and how that experience maybe motivated you to know confidently, we can work with this guy because I've done game days with him so many times.
Well, I think you go back and look at his resume. Again, he's a high school coach in South Florida for 16 years. Coached at FIU, came here in 2015, I believe, and you go to the University of Louisville, and where they've had a lot of success every place he's been. But I've been in the foxhole with Coach Ponce, and to watch him game plan throughout the week. He's a tireless worker, and he put the passing game together for Coach Sat when we were all here together. But in the box is just always giving suggestions of what you would call in this situation, and whenever he made a suggestion, Coach Satterfield would usually run that play, and it would be a successful play. But just his overall knowledge of our offense and where we want to go with this thing, and really is how can we improve it. And you look back at our stats this year, offensively, we were very good. We were 1 and 2 in most categories except turnovers and red zone offense. So there's some issues. There's some situations we had to get corrected this year. Just again, the ball didn't bounce our way with a turnover battle. But again, I think we have a very good nucleus coming back this year, and I think Coach Ponce can add a lot to our offensive weapons.
Talking about Frank's role, obviously there's a play calling role, but you're also in a little bit of a unique situation because this will be the first time you've had a new primary starting quarterback in 7 years. You had a long run with Taylor and Zach back to back, and it's going to be new this year. And certainly Frank had a tremendous hand in developing both of those guys. When it came to that part of realizing that you're going to have some quarterback turnover going forward too, I'm sure you emphasize the quarterback development piece of it, but I mean, how important was Frank's background there to you?
Very important. Again, I always look at your resume when he came here to coach quarterbacks with Taylor Lamb, and Taylor will go down one of the best quarterbacks we have in our program and program history. And you look at Zach Thomas, the way he developed him at an early age, outstanding. And then you go look at the University of Louisville, his quarterbacks, they've played very well the last 2 years, but and again, he's got a challenge this year with those quarterbacks. We've had with the two coaching changes we've had. We lost some guys in that quarterback room, and we were able to bring a transfer in and Chase Brice, and we have some young guys in our room that are here to compete. And I can't wait to watch them develop those guys and be the leaders that we need for this program.
You're really setting me up nicely with a string of questions here. Let's talk about the Chase Brice decision a little bit. Obviously, he's got to come in and compete for playing time with everybody else who's there. But given that he comes in from back-to-back ACC programs, he's more experienced. There's a lot of intrigue around that. When you guys were sitting around the table discussing him, watching his film, talking with him, what were some of the things that kind of jumped off the page at you that made you feel like, yeah, he's the kind of guy we're looking for here?
When we knew we were going to take a transfer quarterback, Coach Peterson did a great job of identifying 20 to 25 quarterbacks who were in the portal or guys we knew that were thinking about transferring, and we made a cut up. And it was just like evaluating a high school kid. And we went back to Clemson, went to Duke, and really took his top 50 plays, different throws across the field, and the ball really comes off the hand very naturally for him. He's got a lot of a zing to the football. I mean, he can throw the out to the field as good as anybody I've been around. And he's got great touch, he's got great pocket poise, and And when things break down, he stayed in the pocket and made the throw. And through Coach Watts and his connections at Clemson and myself, those guys at Duke, I called. We try to do the background check of does he love football, and is he a great leader, and what kind of kid is he? And all those boxes checked out to what we think are the right decision for our program. But in saying that, he's got to come in and compete. We have some quarterbacks behind him. Navy Schuler will be competing for that. DC Tabscott, and so we got some guys that that are going to be competing for that spot. Like I said, we brought him in to play, but he's got to earn that spot.
Last question for me. You mentioned spring ball tentatively set for March 8th. Every spring camp's a little bit different because every team that comes into it's different than the one before. As you think forward to the things that are really important for you to prioritize as you come into this spring camp, where will you guys really kind of place some of your emphasis?
Well, we've got some guys that have some off-season injuries and that it requires surgery. So it'll be a really good chance for us to get some young guys some quality reps. And we're going to really break it down and be simpler this spring. We're going to get to more individual, more situational football and try to get that down to a science. But again, we have to find some depth. Again, we lost Noah Hannon, lost Ryan Newsel on the offensive side of the ball. Marcus Williams Jr. decided to transfer. We have to find a quarterback. Shamar Jean Charles is chasing his dream for the NFL. And I think we'll have a very good chance of that. We'll find some corners. But again, to me, it's building depth. And when we have those 11 super seniors coming back, helps us in depth. We have to get some young guys some quality reps to make sure that we feel comfortable those guys playing next fall.
All right, we'll take our next question from Kenneth Reese. We'll talk online.
Hey, Coach. Since we're in the second year now of still dealing with COVID, what measures are you still adapting? Talking about recruiting, what measures are you still using that you had to adapt to last year in talking to recruits and possible new players, transfers, et cetera?
Well, kind of like we're doing right now. We're in the evaluation process as we speak. Our coaches are in their offices looking at next year's class. The issue we have with that, North Carolina has not played football yet, and either has Virginia. So we're really concentrating on more southern states, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. But once we identify the prospects we're going after, whether on FaceTime or we're on Zoom, and in this recruiting process, if you're not having face-to-face interaction with your players, you're not recruiting those guys. So it's my job as the head coach to make sure our assistant coaches are getting me in contact face-to-face through Zoom to establish a relationship. And when everything breaks, and who knows when that'll be, we'll get them here on campus.
I've got one more quick one, and I'm glad I looked over at the 2021 schedule. You know, there were, just like a lot of universities across the nation, there were a lot of high-profile games for Appalachian that were canceled. The Wisconsin game comes to mind. But, you know, looking at the schedule in the fall, I mean, East Carolina, at Miami, at Marshall, or versus Marshall, I mean, that's three pretty good teams right there to kind of start the season off with. What are your early thoughts about that?
Well, we're excited. Again, speaking with Doug, we won a tough non-conference schedule. And we ever had a chance to open up with East Carolina, an in-state school, and Panther Stadium. I think that's fantastic for both programs and for our state. I wish we had more like that. I wish we played more in-state schools. I think it's great for the state of North Carolina and all fan bases. They get a chance to play a national powerhouse in Miami and come back here and to play Marshall, who just hired a new coach today. So we look very, plus we have Elon. I didn't bring it up to you. We play Elon here, which is another in-state school. And, but again, we want that tough non-conference to get us prepared for our conference schedule. And you guys saw this year, I think the Sun Belt Conference from top to bottom has been the toughest it's ever been since I've been here. And they were hiring great coaches in our conference. And again, we're one of the premier group of 5 conferences in the country.
Thanks for the time, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go next to Lauren Walsh, WXII.
Hey, Coach. So really tough first season as a head coach, doing that during a pandemic while at App State. What did you learn about yourself? And second part, your players as you navigated this season?
Well, speaking for our players, they're resilient. I said that many times throughout the year, that the way they handled their business and did the right things off the field. And anytime you're dealing with 18 and 20-year-old kids, it's tough to say you need to go home, come right to practice, go right back to your home, don't go out, don't be with your friends. I couldn't do that when I was in college, and it was almost impossible to do it at 45 years old. But we had to do what was best for the players and for myself. I mean, listen, my dad was a Vietnam veteran, and he's a tough guy. And I would call to complain about different things that were going on. And probably the best lesson I got was, he said, "You're made for this," and hung the phone up on me. So I kind of shook my head and said, "Well, I guess I'm made for this. Let's go back to work." So again, in this, there was no plan for this. It was really buckle down, do the best you could, and try to put a quality product on the field that our fans can be proud of.
And if I could follow up, what's your level of optimism for a sense of normalcy returning for this upcoming season?
Well, if you knew me, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and I'm positive about everything. But I feel good about it. I mean, I know this pandemic is still here. People are still getting sick. People are dying. I understand that, but I think with the vaccines we have coming out, and the technology that we have, that I'm very hopeful. And I know that myself, our players, our fans, we're excited to get started, and we're very hopeful that we play Charlotte against East Carolina. It'll be a packed stadium.
Okay, we'll go back to Ethan Joyce again.
So I want to follow up on Chase Brice. You were mentioning kind of the offense, and how I remember, like, throughout the year you were frustrated with turnovers, and I wonder how you went about evaluating Chase's season, kind of in an offense that really struggled with turnovers, and kind of determining what you could fix, how much of that was a product of the situation and the team he was on. How did you kind of go about evaluating that about him?
Well, again, when you're in this profession, you have guys you trust, and coaches that were at Clemson, that were at Duke. And again, we weren't the only team that went through this. I mean, I can't speak on exact numbers of practices, but if I'm not mistaken, Duke didn't have a spring practice. They were out of spring practice. And then when you look at their fall camp, they only had 2 or 3 or 4, I forget how many practices. There were very few practices in the fall camp. And when you're on Zoom meetings all the time, which we've done here for position meetings, that's hard. When you don't have face-to-face interaction and really get a feel for the offense. And again, I have a lot of respect for Duke and what they do, and their head coach down there, and Coach Cutliff. But I felt what was best for our program was to have a guy with some experience that could come in and compete for the starting spot. And I'm not exactly sure what his turnover margin was there, but when I turned the tape on, he was what I felt was best for our program. Just the way he commanded the huddle, the way he ran the offense, and talking to him, I believe in Chase.
Is there, I know, like, a good slew of guys have announced, whether they're coming back or not. Are there any guys that, it's maybe not out there yet, or you're still trying to get a handle on, as far as those seniors who could come back for 2021?
Malik Williams, he'll be back in the fall, and next fall. He's back in school right now. Chandler State's coming back. Tommy Dawkins is going to come back. I'm not sure who's posted, who hasn't posted. I took a break from social media for about 3 or 4 weeks and kind of cleansed my mind. But I have that list, and we'll get Joey to get that list to you.
And the last one for me, you kind of hit on this a little bit as far as, like, getting back to normal next season. I don't know. Can you let yourself be hopeful about games in front of fans? Because it wasn't just you. Like, there were quite a few players, I think Noah specifically, I'm remembering, that talked about just how much it kind of dampened things to not have fans around.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons you come to Appalachian State is because our stadium was sold out every weekend, and that was that's our advantage to have home field advantage to play in front of I think we're the best fans in college football. But I think a lot of this is going to happen. This will tell the spring how the virus goes, and we're still testing through our program, and we'll be testing through spring practice. But I'll never forget a story. Noah and I were there before we came out at Charlotte, and we go out. We're sitting there to come out around the football field, and he looks at me and said, "This is probably not how you envisioned your first game as a head football coach." And it was kind of a chuckle we had, but those are the cards we were dealt with, and we went and did the best we could. And like I said, 9-3 is not the record we hoped for, but again, I'm very proud of our program to go out there and compete the way we did.
All right. Do we have any other questions? We do, from Silas Albright. Go ahead, Silas.
Yeah. Hey, Coach. I just wanted to ask, obviously, such a wild first year. There were definitely some ups and downs that I don't think anyone in anything really could have predicted. Does that kind of but now you made it through, and that first year is out of the way, and it's over, and does that just kind of give you any more confidence of what's ahead, just confidence moving forward of yourself and the team?
I think so. I mean, I think we've all this program, myself, we have a lot of confidence in ourselves to make sure we get the job done. But like you mentioned earlier, the ups and downs, there's nothing you can throw at me. I don't believe that we can't be prepared for now. We took that 25 days, 26 days off and have 5 days of practice and go play Arkansas State, come out and have a great game. But I mean, that was college football this year. You looked around the country and games were getting canceled left and right. And we were very fortunate to get 12 games in this season. And again, who knows? But I'm very optimistic that things will get back to some form of normalcy here pretty soon.
Okay, and we'll go also to Cameron Burnett, also with Appalachian.
Hey, Coach, I just have a quick question because we touched on it back on the fall. So Corey Sutton had opted out of the year last year, of course, rehabbing from an injury or whatever. What's his current status?
Corey Sutton is in class today, online classes. Again, when he opted out, I always went what was best for Corey. And when he opted out, we hugged each other, and he told me he'd be back for the 2021 season. And we told each other we loved it. We loved each other, and we stayed in contact. That was probably, again, not just because of a player, but I truly care about Corey Sutton and all of our players. But Corey and I talked on a weekly basis, once, twice, sometimes every day of the week throughout the season. And again, that's the relationship we have here. Again, I play with his dad here, Clarence, but I want what was best for Corey. And Corey promised me he's going to come back, and he's enrolled in class right now. And the knee is feeling good, and he should be a go for spring practice.